The next movie is called The Crow. It's
about martial arts birds.
martial artist birds. No, actually, it's about love, death, revenge, Edgar Allan Poe, and coming back from the dead.
Is it based on the Edgar Allan Poe story?
No, actually, that's The Raven. But it's based on an underground comic book, a graphic novella by a guy named James O'Barr that's called The Crow. And it's a story of a rock and roll musician and his fiancée who are brutally murdered in Detroit. And then he...
Big part for you then.
Yeah.
How long do you stay alive for?
Yeah. Actually, you know, in the film, I'm actually alive for a very short period of time. But then I get to come back from the dead to avenge the murders.
Don't we just love the movies?
There is a legend that a crow can carry a soul back from the dead to seek justice and put the wrong things right.
While James O'Barr's original graphic novel began as a cult hit and would eventually find global success, it was undoubtedly director Alex Proyas's 1994 film adaptation that has left the largest impact on pop culture. The Crow stars Brandon Lee, son of the legendary martial artist Bruce Lee, in his final film. Lee portrays Eric Draven, a rock musician who is revived from the dead to avenge the murder of his fiancée and of himself.
Thought, you know, for the most they'll have the option for 2 or 3 years, and it'll lapse, and then I'll get it back. So I never even thought it would get made to begin with, let alone that fast. I mean, within like 2 years, it was in production, which is just phenomenal and amazing. And at one point, one of the producers, in a meeting, one of the producers said, and this is no joke, he literally said this, I know, we can do this as a musical, we can get Michael Jackson to star in it, and we can get Julian Temple to direct it. And I thought it was a joke. I started laughing. But he was completely serious, and that's how it is in Hollywood. It's like, it's like there's this beautiful tree, and every dog that comes along has to piss on it. And it got to the point where it was like, what the hell? Why do you even buy this thing when you want to completely change it into something unrecognizable? Why don't you just come up with your own story? Why do you even bother with this if you're just going to try and change everything? And it got really, really far away from what it was supposed to be at one point. And then when Alex Proyas and Brandon came on board, they were both huge fans of the comic and insisted that it be taken back to what it was in the beginning. And Brandon especially was really enamored with the books, a big fan of the books, and was really instrumental in getting as close to the comic as it is.
I read the script first, but the comic book is wonderful. It's out in a graphic novel edition right now. There's 3 graphic novels. Contains all 6 issues of the comic book, and it's a very pure work. The writer's been out on the set a lot, and I've gotten a chance to meet him.
Produced on a budget of just $10 million, the film grossed nearly $150 million worldwide. It would have been a breakout star-making role for Lee, who had been steadily building his career over the last few years. Tragically, Brandon Lee died during the production of the film. You probably already knew that. The death of Brandon Lee sent a shockwave through the industry that is still felt to this day.
He was fatally injured on the set of his latest movie, The Crow. Sarah Seidman, a stand-in, was there when it happened.
When Brandon didn't get up, everyone was stunned, because in the scene he was supposed to fall down and be mortally wounded. So, the actors went on with the scene.
There was a lot of controversy surrounding his death, with some even claiming it was a curse because he died so young, just like his father. At some point during the filming, a revolver was apparently discharged with an improperly deactivated cartridge in the chamber. The prop crew either failed to notice or failed to recognize the significance of this issue. The scene in which he died in real life called for the revolver to be fired at Lee from a distance of 12 to 15 feet. The dummy cartridges were exchanged with blank rounds, which featured a live powder charge of primer, but no bullet, thus allowing the gun to be fired without the risk of an actual projectile. The production company had allegedly sent the firearms specialist home early that day, so responsibility for the guns were given to a prop assistant who was not aware of the rule for checking all firearms before and after any handling. The barrel was not checked for obstructions, and when it came time to load it with the blank rounds, since the bullet from the dummy round was already trapped in the barrel, this caused the bullet to be fired out of the barrel with about the same force as if the gun had been loaded with a live round. It struck Brandon Lee in the chest, mortally wounding him. He was rushed to the hospital, where he underwent 6 hours of surgery. However, attempts to save him were unsuccessful, and Lee was pronounced dead at the age of 28. The shooting was ruled an accident. Brandon Lee's death hangs over the film, adding a tragic weight to everything, and for some it seems to overshadow the film itself. This is a very special movie, though. The film begins on Devil's Night, the night before Halloween. We meet Sergeant Al Bright, portrayed by Ernie Hudson, standing at the scene of the crime where Eric Draven and Shelley Webster have been killed. The couple were to be married the next day, on Halloween.
Who the fuck gets married on Halloween anyhow?
Nobody.
As he leaves for the hospital with Shelley, Al Bright meets a young girl, Sarah, who says that Shelley is her friend and that they take care of her because her mother, Darla, is negligent and a drug addict. Albright tells her that Shelley will be okay, but she knows the truth. Shelley is going to die. 1 year later, a crow taps on the gravestone of Eric Draven. He awakens from death and climbs from his grave. What follows is a brutal revenge story, and as you can tell by how thin the plot is, this very easily could have been a B-movie, a by-the-numbers revenge movie with a supernatural twist. But every aspect of this film elevates it. The performances, the visuals, the music. This film is a masterwork. It's unique and creative with an evocative visual style. And The Crow presents a bleak, imposing urban environment filled with washed-out, grimy streets and gothic monochrome buildings silhouetted against a fiery orange sky. The music deserves a special mention. Many of the most important plot points and action scenes are heavily accented by the music. In a lot of movies, music choices seem random, like someone just picked a bunch of songs off a trending Spotify playlist and tossed them into a movie. But in The Crow, the soundtrack is part of the film. From The Cure's Burn playing as Eric Draven dons his white and black face paint to the use of the Stone Temple Pilots' Big Empty. The music is a testament to how much this movie is a perfect product of the moment it was made. It's lightning in a bottle, not something that can be easily recaptured.
The interesting thing about this character to me is that you're dealing with a guy who's literally been pushed to the limits of his own sanity, you know. And I think that something of the persona of the Crow that he takes on, he does because he himself can't necessarily deal with what's happening. And by creating this persona, he creates someone who can deal with what's going on.
1994's The Crow is special. It's nice that they never tried to make any cash-in sequels or annoying remakes.